times of essence, and I think if you can do 2, you can do 1. Okay, so your muslin got blocked and everything's the same process. 1 inch, but this is the center back, so you need to make sure that this inch is gonna make sense for the center back. Okay?
Is it still 10 inches?
10 inches. Same thing. And you're gonna notice why. And why do I keep my drape there? I wanna make sure that everything matches. Everything. I wanna make sure my waist matches. I wanna make sure my hip matches. Everything matches. It's gonna look beautiful. So what do we do here? We first, it's the same steps. We match the hip line to the back. And remember, I know most of you have a cupped butt here. Don't try to fit it. We're not trying to fit the curve right now because it's a whole different thing. We're just gonna make a straight skirt. So that's just easy for me. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna first do the same thing. Did I do bottom? Yeah, I did. I did bottom, and you do bottom of the tape, and you make sure that it's on the center front, which this is. You can feel it with your finger. Okay. And then you're gonna pull it through, and it's already matching. The whole point I'm blocking it is also so it matches perfectly to your front, and it does. This is what it should look like. This line should be the same line all around, okay? Now, believe it or not, this goes a lot faster because we already did the front. There's not that, the back, there's not that much curve. The waist is not really curving. It's not as much giving. It's not snatched.
Okay. I'd love to hear it. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
She's hip.
So, I've noticed this would happen with your guys most of the time. You noticed this was the last part was not straight for a lot of you, correct? It needs to be lengthwise, not skewed in any other way. So before we do this start, we make sure that we take our hand, and this is slightly pinned, right? We bring it up lightly, and we're gonna match the same marker that we made for the waist and sizing. We're gonna do it for this one. And that's the trick of making sure you're draping this correctly. Now we have a lot of access here. Now, if you wanna do 2 darts, go for it. I'm not gonna stop you. You do more work, that's okay. That's okay. So then, this is what we're gonna do. First, we always flatten the front, correct? And we're gonna use the princess seam. We're gonna flatten to the princess seam. Well, it's a little hard for me to see from angles. And that's it. You see it's flat. I'm not pinning anything else here. That's it. Then we're gonna take this section and we're gonna also flatten it. And there you go. That is a big dart. Yeah, I agree.
Well, she got a big booty.
Well, yeah, she does.
Big old.
You know, the ones in the FIT had nothing. So, just because I used to use the ones from the 80s,
Nothing.
nothing. So now you see that? That's all you have. Now, we're just gonna mark it. And the good news, we're gonna go faster in this because it's just 1 dart, or we already did it. Yeah. And now,
Is
we're
it
gonna,
essentially the same steps?
yeah, it's the same steps.
It's just 1 dart instead of
It's
2.
just 1 dart, yeah.
Yeah, that's literally the only difference.
So,
Which makes our life
yes,
easier.
another thing, in my homework, you're gonna notice that the demo that I have pictures of is from 2 darts. If you have 1 dart, that's fine, not a big deal. Okay?
Do
Now
you
we're
think
taking
a fit
it
is better when there's more darts?
Yes and no. It depends on your style, it depends on your fabric.
Okay.
Sometimes having more darts might not just look good because your fabric might be too light. Sometimes it does. But I will say, like, it usually, the Princess Seam at least gives us, it's in between the waist and this. Now, if you really want to create a beautiful curve, you can even bring it in even more and make the dart go out. So it's like really having that snatching waist thing. All right. So now we do the same thing that we did in the front, which is every excess goes to the back, right? So we go here. And before we marked it, we make sure we fold the dart. Now we're gonna do 1/4 of an inch straight from the edge, right? And from that 1/4 of an inch, we're gonna do the rest. And like I said, you're gonna try to match it to the best, your ruler to the best side of you can. That's okay. And then you're gonna take your hip curve, you're gonna match it the best way. It's a hip, it has a slight curve. And then after the hip line, you're gonna make everything straight and square it off. And this is, before you know it, it's gonna happen. And then 1 inch in the side seam and 1/2 inch on the waist. Okay. Then we're gonna cut it. Right up here. Okay, so then we're gonna open it. We're gonna find the middle. And then we make, using our hip line, we're gonna square a line through the middle of the dart. Now our dart in the back will be a little longer. It will be closer to 5 inches. So let's just make it 5.
For all sizes?
For the most part. What size are you?
6.
You might be able to get it with a 4.5 too. But for me, 5 inches from the sew line, okay? We draw it. Now make sure the excess is facing the back. Then we pin it. We make sure we pin it beautifully. Now for our demo, I'm just gonna pin really quickly. Because I need to show you. So now we pin it. We take our front. Look. And you're gonna be pinning the side seams too. So how do you do this? Everything goes to the back, right? So you're gonna take your back skirt and first you pin the waist. And then you pin your hip line. Why am I doing it that way? It's just easier because you're gonna notice that your hip, the curve of your hip on the back is bigger than your front. Oh my goodness, what do you know? I don't have to do a hem here. It's all straight.
Oh.
Period.
Exactly. So yours should look somewhat like that. And if you made a mistake, that's okay. You just make it even, okay? Even it out. So now you notice that my hip is in the back is bigger. You're gonna ease it in. How do I do that? I put my hand underneath it to create a slight curve. And every inch, I'm gonna pick up 1/8 of an inch and go down. All pins also face the back too. Okay? So you guys can see it. I'm just curving it a little bit and picking 1/8 of an inch. And I know it's tedious work, and I know you're gonna use a lot of pins, but that's okay. It's gonna look really good. And why do we do this? It's because this way it gives us ease. Because if you pin it just like all layers together all at once, it's not gonna give out for you. So now, just so you guys can see how it looks like really quickly, see, I don't have to even pin it.
It's fitting.
It's just fitting, okay? You see the difference now, guys? And this is
So
what,
pretty.
oh,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
so pretty.
That's it. So I am gonna upload all these videos. I'm gonna be